So I'm here with Prince Ofori-Buama, and he is currently studying entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology at the University of Strathclyde, Glasgow. Please, I hope I mentioned it right. Strathclyde.
Yeah, Strathclyde, you got that right.
Correct. In Glasgow. So I want Prince to introduce himself, then we get straight into business. Hello, Prince.
Hi, I can hear you. Thank you. So, like you rightly said, I'm at Strathclyde Business School in Glasgow, where
Mhm.
I'm studying entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology. I was fortunate to be chosen among the 7 in cohort for 2022. So that is what I studied over the last year.
Mhm.
Just about having my graduation on Monday. So the journey has practically ended for me. And I'm happy to help other people who are interested in the scholarship to secure. So that's why
Wow.
I've added your invitation. Yeah.
Congratulations. I will definitely attend, though I need a visa, but I will
Thank you.
definitely
Thank you.
attend. Congratulations. So, can you tell all the speakers that came? I usually ask them to tell us about their journey to Chevening, how they heard about Chevening, and how they applied, and did they get it on the first uh, application, or they had to try over and over again. So, how was your journey to Chevening?
Thank you. So journey, my chevening journey, if I can call it that, started when I was still in final year in the university. So I was a teaching assistant then, and my supervisor, the lecturer that I was assisting, mentioned that this is a scholarship that I need to check out. So I did that, and the first time I did it, I was put on reserve, which meant that um, I was sitting on tenterhooks for the longest time because up until that year, there was always this backlog of other people who would be on reserve,
Reserve, yeah.
and if someone opts out or there is additional funding, you would be upgraded. But for the first time that I did it, I didn't get the upgrade, so I made it on my second attempt, and that's how the journey started. So it was really a recommendation from my supervisor, and then I followed through. So it goes also to speak to the determination. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is someone here who is chasing this for the second or third. Some people even had it at the fourth attempt, but it speaks to determination and your ability to learn with every other application. So yeah, that's how my chevening journey really took place.
Okay, so it's a unique journey from the other speakers too, because all the speakers that I spoke to, they
Yeah,
said they got the scholarship on the first attempt. So
right.
yours is a totally unique journey.
Sure.
You were on the reserve list on the first
Yeah,
attempt,
for
and
the
the
first
second
time. Yeah.
attempt you got it. So it's a really unique journey, and it shows how determination can get us where we want to be. So
Yeah,
I want to go straight into the questions. When we talk
great.
about future career plan essay, what is future career plan essay and what does it entail? What is the ingredients of future career plan essay?
Great. Thank you. That is a very enticing question. How I like how you signal the ingredients element. But before that, let me um, render my apology. I'm not on video because I went to an event and I just had to corner myself somewhere so we could go through the meeting. That's why I'm not on video.
Oh,
Yeah, so please bear with me and our audience as well. It's not
yes.
deliberate. Yeah. So um so your question is what goes into a career and future plan essay? What are the ingredients to quote your words?
Yeah.
I wouldn't attempt to tell anybody what a career is. I believe that at this point we all know what a career is. But in the context of the Chevening Scholarship, I would say that the career essay is really about the field or the agenda that we intend to pursue with the Chevening Scholarship. So we can think of it as our planned progressive achievement. So Chevening is the foundation, but if you go through Chevening, what will be your planned progressive achievement over time? What do you intend to achieve?
Mm.
It could be in your professional life, it could be in your academic life. What really are you looking to achieve over a specific period of time? And at this point, it is essentially a projection. That is one of the things that I must say. Some people say, "Oh, but it's future. It's 5 years. How can I be sure?" It's a projection. The same thing we do in business planning or forecasting. It's like a weather forecast. So you can say, well, in 3 years I can do this, but a lot of things can happen. But once you give them a clear idea of what you are trying to do, then you are looking at your career plan. And in terms of the ingredients, I would say at least my what worked for me, I would look at three key things. So um, I think I can even call it four. Four. So the first one is where you are now, where you are now, because that is a starting point for the progress you want to make. To put that in context, in your essay, you can say, I am currently maybe a teaching assistant, but after the Chevening scholarship, within the first 1 to 3 years, I want to do this. And it may or may not tie to what you're doing currently, but you should always reference, in my experience, where you are now, because that is the basis for where you want to go. So in my case, I did where I am now. I did my short term, medium term, and long term. So in terms of the ingredients, start with where you are, your short term, your medium term, and your long term. There are people who would prefer short term and long term. That is also fine. But if you can break your plan into short, medium, and long, that is also acceptable. And then maybe you can conclude by tying all of that together. Why do you want to do this in the short term? Why are you looking at this in the medium term? And what is the ultimate you want to achieve in the long term? So to tie it together, for example, in my case, I said currently I'm working at Yahoo Medical Center as A, B, and C.
Mhm.
But in the short term after my arrival, and I know there are people here who are not thinking about returning, but you have to return. So, so I'm thinking. So I said I'm currently working here, but in the first 1 to 3 years of my arrival, which is my short-term plan, I intend to do A, B, and C and help this number of people reach this target. And in the medium term, I set my medium term between 5 and 7 years. I want to set up this innovation hub and do A, B, and C. But in the long term, I want to enter academia fully as a professor. After by my 10th year, I intend to
Mhm.
enter academia fully as a professor. And then I even tied it together. Why do I want to do all of this and enter academia in the 10th year? Because for me, I believe that in my area, I wanted to be a professor of entrepreneurship and innovation. If that's what you want to do, why do you want to go through the previous steps before you get to the end? So I said, I think an innovation professor should have practical experience. So I want to work on the field, get some practical experience so that even when I am teaching, I'm just not postulating theories, but I can tell my students that I did this project, I did that project, this is how I worked it. So I am saying short term, medium term, long term, make sure there is something that connects all of them. So yeah. And then one of the things that we hardly look at, and I'll maybe let's call that the garnishing in terms of the
Mhm.
ingredient.
Yeah.
After you've done all of this, make sure there is proper formatting. Proper
Mm.
formatting, your grammar is on point, your paragraphing is intact, and you use an engaging writing style. Unfortunately, um, people think that 500 words is too small. You can't put a lot, but If you are writing well, 500 words, they are enough. So be straight to the point. If there is anything that you can take from your essay without damaging the meaning you want to put across, without injuring the message you want to convey, please take it out. And then be focused on the essence of what you want to communicate. No, don't go and define what a career is to them, to the reading committee. They know what a career is. So just focus on what you want to do. And that's my approach and the ingredients that I will throw in. I
Um,
hope that answers the question.
yes, a lot of information, right? In
Right.
one question, you've answered a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm sure some will come up again, so we reiterate it.
Yes, please. Yes, please. And my second question is how do I tailor my career and future plan essay, future career plan essay to interconnect with the other three essays that we have?
All right, good. So because I'm going to try to make this memorable and easy to apply. In terms of this question, how do I tailor my career and future plan essay to connect with the other three essays? Because in terms of presentation, the career essay is the last.
Yeah.
But how do I connect it to my leadership, to my networking, to my study in UK? The first thing I would say is that think it through. Take your time and think it through. You see, the reading committee has been doing this for years, and they can see through hot air. When you are just vibes and no content, they can tell. That's my simplest advice. Let me give you an example. So if my course choices revolve around engineering, I want to do engineering, but my career plan is to be a gender advocate. I have lost the plot.
Yeah.
So what you write in your leadership, your track record. So in my and I want to use myself so to help bring clarity. In my case, throughout my leadership, I showed areas where I've led specific initiatives about entrepreneurship, about innovation. In my school choices, I chose entrepreneurship, enterprise development, all of those things. So it made sense that my career plan would be aligned towards entrepreneurship, innovation, even technology. But assuming that my career plan geared towards becoming a legal practitioner, eh, even though that is a possibility, you never know what happens in real life. But in context of Chevening, they are looking at continuity. So please make sure that there is a clear link between your demonstrated leadership interest, the courses you want to study, and the plan that you want to have. You are projecting. So if you don't think it through and they don't see that connection, you are going to score low on the career essay and it might affect you.
Okay. So it means in the leadership side, if we have a specific theme, it should run through all the essays.
Yes,
It should
yes,
run through all the essays. Okay, thank you. So in terms of the future, I think you answered it even in the first part, but I
right,
want to re-ask that how far should I project into the future? And
right,
when I'm writing an essay, how far, in which number of years? But I think you've answered it in the first
uh,
part. Yeah.
right. So in my case, I did up to 10 years. During my time, I had some friends that we peer reviewed our essays. Some did up to 7 years. Some even did up to 5 years. And these were people who also had their scholarship. So I wouldn't say there is a hard and fast rule to it, but you should know your industry and what you want to achieve. I wanted to set up an innovation center in Ghana, an innovation hub where people with innovative ideas can come, they get business development support, and then they turn their projects into real businesses. In my estimate, this is not something you do in 3 years. This is not something you do in even 5 years. So it made sense in my case to project up to 5 years. But assuming that someone is going to learn digital marketing and you want to come up and set up maybe a digital studio where you are going to do A, B, and C. In your mind, the time that it take may not be as lengthy as someone who wants to set up an innovation hub or a doctor whose long-term plan is to set up. I revised an essay. Someone wants to set up um, a medical school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
is quite different from how long it will take you to do certain things. And in fact, and some of these
Yeah.
things also tell them how well you know what you are saying.
Yes.
Because if you tell them that you want to set up an innovation hub and you tell them you want to do it in 3 years,
Not
it tells
realistic.
them that no, it's not realistic. You know, I mean, getting the land, getting donors, getting licenses, getting, all of that takes time. So sometimes the way you project these things can even confirm how well you know what you are talking about. So the short answer is there is no specific timeline. Make sure that it is believable and doable within the context of the essay you are writing.
Okay. So it means that our future career plan should should correlate with the timelines. So if you want to set up a school, you should know the timeline that is needed to set up a school. Then
Exactly.
you say maybe in the next 10 or 15 years, I want to set
Absolutely.
up a school. Yeah. So the the future should correlate with the timelines too. The career plan in the future should also correlate with our timelines. Okay. So my next question is what are some of the common mistakes applicants make when writing these essays, like the future career plan essay? What are some of the common mistakes that I know that you are a mentor to someone, you've
Yeah.
been reviewing people's essays. What are some of the common mistakes that people make when
Right.
they are writing?
Um, I think that the first one, which I don't know, I'm sure most of us may not even be expecting it, but I think the commonest one, and it's not even specific to the career essay, it cuts across all our essays, is verbosity. Like the the expressions
Mm,
we use a lot of general language. I think some of us have mastered the art of using so many words to say nothing.
yeah.
And it's especially when you have some of these experienced reviewers going through your essays. Like I said, they know when your essay is hollow, right? So I'll give you an example. I'm reading a career essay, and the person says a career a career plan is what is your projected. They don't need that,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Or I'm sure some of my other colleagues have mentioned this, or in leadership.
Yeah.
If you read the preamble, this is Chevron is looking for people who have demonstrated leadership. How do you fit this? They are not asking you to define leadership for them.
Yeah.
It's what leadership means to you. But you find a lot of people writing in their essay, leadership is the capacity to do this, that. These are things that they are well aware of. So you would say, my understanding of leadership, right, is that, and then you personalize it. You so the first one is that we use a lot of general language. And by general language, I will give you an example. So imagine someone says that, even in my case, I said in the short term, within the first 1 to 3 years of my return, I want to set up an innovation center because I studied innovation. Well, it makes sense, but it's general. What unique thing do you want to do with your innovation center that guarantees why Chevening should spend £50,000 on you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I want to set up an innovation center that is targeted at this group of people because I've seen this problem and I want to help address it this way, right? So in my
Yeah.
case, I made the point that my innovation center is not going to be all about tech and robotics and IoT and all of that. All of that stuff is happening and it's great. But I want my innovation center So we focus on TVET education, technical vocational training. Why? Because being someone who studied visual arts, I know how people think about arts. In most people's minds, it is when you don't do so well that you go and study visual arts. But it's a very false impression. So I want to help people who are studying some of these technical jobs to turn their ideas into bigger projects. So that was what I said. I did not just say I want to set up an innovation center. I said I want to set up an innovation center that is focused on supporting TVET graduates, okay, who ideally will be struggling to set up their own enterprises because of higher financial demands. But you can come to my innovation center, you get business development support, and then you can expand and set up your own small scale business. So don't leave things general. So first of all, make sure your language is precise. Second, make sure you use specific language. And I'll give you another example of the specific language. So I say within the long term, between the 7 to 10 years, I want to enter academia fully as a professor, and I leave it there. Professor in what? Of all possible courses, why do you want to be a professor in entrepreneurship and innovation? I said I wanted to be a professor in innovation and entrepreneurship because the Ghana has a serious issue of unemployment, especially among the youth. And what that means is that when everybody gets out of school, we are paying bribes, we are trying to connect people to go and work in the limited government space. And because there is no space there, people are unemployed. But I want to become a professor in this area so that what I can do to help the unemployment crisis is that I teach young people how to run with the ideas and set up their own businesses. So you see, I have added a bit of specificity to it. I have owned the idea. And if truly you are not just yobbing them, it is easy to make these things specific. It is easy to make these things specific. So the first one is the language we use. Please, you are not writing essay to impress. You are telling your story. Forget about the big brofo. It doesn't impress them. Be clear. Use specific language. Give clear examples. And then the other thing is make sure it connects. So I'm happy that you ask, how do I intertwine all of these things? Your short-term plan cannot be in engineering. Your middle-term plan is in gender and girls' rights, and your long-term is in architecture and something. It's no, you can't be. In real life, there are people who might do that, but when someone is scoring you and you are not there to defend yourself. So give them something that makes logical sense. So okay, Anne want to do this. Well, it makes the natural progression is that in 5 years you should go here and go there. So please make sure that everything you say is also very well connected. Thank you.
Okay. So it should be progressive. It
Yeah,
should tell a story from
that's
one
that.
one a paragraph to the other. It should connect and it should tell a story. And it should
Yeah,
also connect to the other um essays that you have.
yeah,
And also you have to personalize your essay and be specific about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And please let me say something about personalizing your essays. We are talking about career plan, but it would the same thing applies. Now,
Mm,
there are people who talk about their leadership and networking, and they refer to a company and they say, we did this. They are not interested in what you did in a certain company. What did you do in that group? So please personalize it in all your leadership networking. Don't use and the company donated this and I was part of a group that you are out. They know you
mm.
are part of a group, but what was your role?
Oh,
They are not sponsoring your group, they are sponsoring you. So please, a very important emphasis that Anne made, focus on you. And I know as Africans, as Ghanaians, we have an incurable tendency to humility. We
Yes.
think that we have to be modest, we have to be no. You are competing against the best essay of other people. So please make sure that if you have done it and you say it, it's not bragging.
Hmm.
If you have done it and you say it, it's not bragging. So please don't be modest. Say what you have done. If you were the overall best student in your school, say it.
Say it. Yeah.
If you were the top scoring um, graduate of your year group, say it. And it should also not intimidate you if you have not received any, top. Sometimes it's your experience. You went to, you served as an intern and you proposed a ranking system that was adopted. Say it. The good thing about these people is that in terms of influence, they don't want you to, it's not position, it's about impact. So whatever you did, make sure you mention it. So I know I've said a lot about being specific, personalizing your essay. So yeah, that was just an add up to what Anne had said.
Thank you. So my next question is for some of us who have like different future career plans,
Yeah.
like maybe if the I think you've already talked about it. If the
Yeah.
person wants to go into another career in the next 5 years, like transition into another career, should the person add it to it that, oh, maybe after this, in the next 5 years, I want to transition into the field of medicine or any other field which is not connected to the program?
Right. In fact, I think this is a very crucial question. And I'll give you an example. So in my career plan to Chevening, I said, you know, entrepreneurship, innovation, that's what I want to do. But to be sincere, I'm currently trying to pivot into a more tech role. And there is nothing wrong with it, so long as I can justify it. So let's give an example. So let's assume that there is someone who studied communication and you're applying to go and study MA in development studies and all of that. But you see that the way tech is taking over, you would need a bit of tech skills to be influential in your field. There is nothing wrong to say, um, I believe that development communication is crucial in this part of the world because Ghana, my country, and Africa in general, has a major deficit in terms of the SDGs. So I believe that understanding development from a theoretical point of view and applying it will help me to solve some of the issues in my social context. In my long-term plan, between 5 to 7 years, however, I intend to make a transition into tech, technology and innovation, for example. Let's assume that that's what you do. It's far remote from development status.
Yeah.
But you can tell them that what you believe is that the world is slowly tilting towards technology, and technology is redefining our world. And you think that you cannot understand development, you cannot shape the next generation of leaders or whatever without tech. So you see that even though the two are not connected, you are trying to um, give them reason why, that is a viable thing to do, right? If you
Yeah.
studied communication, but in the long term you want to study law, they are two different things. But you can tell them that you believe that a lot of people think that law is above the ordinary person. They speak in language that is not intelligible to the ordinary person. But what you really want to achieve as a lawyer is to be able to take the law and break it down for the average Ghanaian to understand. And you believe that is where your communication will serve you, right? So it's communication and law, but you see how you've connected it. Because
Yeah.
for most of us, when lawyers are speaking, we wonder what at all they are talking about. But for a trained communicator can even use ordinary examples to explain the law to you. So, well, I'm studying communication on Chevening, but in the long term, I want to go to law. to enter the law area, and these are my reasons. I want to make the law accessible to the average Ghanaian, and I believe my communication training will help me to communicate in a manner that is relatable to the ordinary Ghanaian. Yeah,
So it means you have to justify why you
that's
are
by yeah,
transitioning, why you want to
that
transition in
yes,
the long run. You have to
yes,
justify your inclusion, your
yes, good.
so yeah. And my next question is that in the future career plan, do I need to talk only about my future plans, or I should talk about the present or past, then connect it to the future, or just the future?
So I I recognize that the title of that essay really is a career plan,
Mhm.
and ordinarily you cannot build without foundation. So
Yeah,
it's always good to use your current work or your current position as a starting point. Um, you are you are right in going back to your previous roles if it is connected in any way. So in my case, um, I had taught as an SHS graduate, and I taught before that year when I was waiting to go to uni. I taught students, and I really loved it. Now, how does that fit anywhere into my career plan? Working with young people, right? So I can reference that my experience as a teacher, um, and maybe a high school teacher in basic design and technology, really um, generated my interest in working with young people because I noticed that they are one of a group of people who are very fresh ideas. They come up with innovative solutions, but are unfortunately not guided to go through the process. So as a lecturer or as whatever, I'll focus on, helping these people. It was so in my case because it was connected. If in your case it is not connected, just start with where you are and where you want to go. I understand that it can be a bit abstract because it is the future, it has not happened yet. But anytime you're writing it, ask yourself if someone read this to me, would it be compelling? Would it be believable enough? Right? Good. So that's it. So connect it only when there is a logical connection between them.
between them.
If there
Okay.
isn't, I wouldn't see what you want to do. So for example, um, I want to study nursing. In the future, I want to become this how do we call it? A specialist nurse,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
If in the past I played a role that is relevant to it, assuming that I want to become a neurosurgeon, but when I did my housemanship in Ghana, I serve as a theater assistant to a neurosurgeon. I can reference it because it is connected to what I want to do and how I was mentored and how that, showed me our lack of neurosurgeons in Ghana and all of that. But if it is not connected, you are not under any obligation to do so.
Okay. So it's all about connection, connection,
Uh,
connection. It should be connected.
yeah. I like how you summarize. You're a brilliant summarizer.
Thank you. Okay, so our the next question, I think it's the last but one, is just giving a practical example of the chronology, how it should flow, the
Yeah.
flow of the essay.
All
So
right.
maybe in the introduction, what it should entail in the body and in the conclusion, like just a summary of the chronology of it.
All right. So, in terms of the chronology, like I said, I'm going to use myself as an example, but I'm only going to suggest a template. And templates are amenable. You can just treat it the way you want. It's malleable, it's not fixed, depending on how you want to apply it. But in terms of my approach, like I said, start with where you are. So this is how I approached mine. If I remember correctly, I said that I work with Ghana's leading private hospital as a web content developer, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I did with that statement, and I could have said that I work with Nyaho Medical Center in Ghana as a web content developer, but you see, I did something there. I said the leading group medical
Yeah.
practice, right? Yes. What that also means is that it gives them an idea of the your quality or your excellence. Because if you are working with Ghana's first private hospital, then at least oh yeah, the kakra, if I
Yeah.
can put it that way, you know. So that's what I'm saying. It's not really about a lot of words. It's about being tactical about what do I want them to know and how do I say? Because if they have to read your essay 3 or 4 times over before they get the point you are making, you are in trouble because there are so many applicants. Make the work easy for them. So, in terms of chronology, start with where you are. I work with Vodafone Ghana as customer experience manager. Say that, right? In this role, I do this, that. In my case, I was actually doing two things. I was working with Yahoo and I was also running my startup part time. And I said that, and I said that, and I said, in the short term, this is how I said it. In the short term, between 1 to 3 years of my return, right? So you see, I have spoken about what I do now, and then I have also come down to, I'm now treating my plan. So in the short term, between 1 to 3 years of my return from the United Kingdom as a Chevening scholar, I plan to start a social entrepreneurship program. So that was my short term plan. And then I went to how that program would be. What makes that program different? I don't want to bore you with the details, but I said it would do, focus on helping TVET people and all of that. And then I said in the medium term, between 3 to 5 years. So you see, short term 1 to 3, medium term 3 to 5, you are giving them specific timelines, right?
Yeah.
Within 1 to 3 years, I want to set up my innovation hub, right? So, I mean, the first is the easiest. And please, you should also make it logical. If your 1 to 3 years projection is the hardest, it won't make sense. So in my case, the 1 to 3 years was the easiest, right? If I want to start a social entrepreneurship program, I don't need an office. I just need space. It could be on Twitter space. It could be on, a virtual space. That is easy to do. So they know that this thing you are saying is feasible, right? I have friends in the media. I went to a journalism school. So if I want to make noise, if I want to do entrepreneurship evangelism, I think I wrote that funny phrase in my essay. I said I want to come to Ghana and do entrepreneurship evangelism. Let people know that Charlie, instead of going to sit in some office and get 3,000 a month, you can run your own business
Own
and get four,
business.
five. So that was, and the way you write it shows that you own the idea, right? So I said I want to come and do entrepreneurship evangelism within the first 1 to 3 years. 3 to 5 years, I want to try and establish an innovation center, right? And then in the long term, specifically beyond the 7th to 10th year of my return as a Chevener. So you see how I broke it down.
Yeah.
Good. And then I said, I also intend to enter, fully as a lecturer in this area because of what I have seen, because of how I want to. And I think I even made a point about I want to work in industry for 7 years. It is only after the 8th and 10th year that I want to go into academia because I don't want to go and do chew and pour with my students.
Yeah.
I want them to know. So all of these things show them that you've thought these things through. You see, you've thought these things through. So it is some of these little nuances that make your essay stand out. So like I said, start with where you are. Tell them what you are doing and what is inspiring you to go on this career plan. Short term, medium term, long term, and then tie everything together. right?
Wow.
How did I tie mine together? Let me give you an example. How did I tie mine together? Because I said I'll do it entrepreneurship evangelism, I'll set up innovation hub, I'll become a professor of innovation. This is how I closed it. I said, if you put all of these things together, I plan to have a teaching career that unites experience and academic excellence. That deviates from rote learning. Rote learning is the memorization, what we call chew, poor, pass, forget. So I want to become a professor, with experience, so that when I teach, it is different from the chew and poor pass forget, encouraging problem solving, critical thinking, and social awareness for national development. So you see,
Mm,
say all of that, but your leave the stage on a high, finish your essay, tie everything together and complete. Yeah.
okay. So from what you're saying, we should use timelines in our essay. We should be
Yeah.
very specific with our words. We shouldn't just use any big words just to make them know that, oh, you understand English or something like. Be
Yeah.
specific about what you are saying. Be very logical with your career plan, because sometimes with the short term you can't give a short term career plan to with a longer timeline, or a long
Yeah.
term career plan to a shorter timeline.
Yeah.
So gives logical timelines too. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's it. And also tie them together, tie everything together. Long, short, medium, long, then you tie everything together. I think um we've gone through all the questions, and I think you've answered everything like spot on. And I want you to give us your final words before we um end this session.
So what I would say, if there is, I see that there are about five participants here.
Yeah.
What I would say is that the Chevening application process can be a bit tedious, and it requires a bit of writing and rewriting. But as someone who have been blessed to have the opportunity, believe me, it is worth every time you spend on it. Don't be discouraged if next year you are the one on the flyer. Hallelujah. If it is not you, don't give up. Because there was someone um in my cohort who had Chevening on the fourth attempt. I know, so that is technically 5 years that he's been chasing it, because when you do it, it comes the following year. He had it on the fourth attempt. If you are fortunate to have it first time, good. But if not, don't lose heart. Continue to do it and reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to help. But if you take some of these things that we are doing, and dear young graduate is doing it for free, our friends in Nigeria and other places are taking money and doing it for people. You are getting this for free. Please apply them, and whatever you believe in, if you believe God, trust Him and pray as well. And I know, in the end, you would be successful.
Okay. Thank you very much. So,
Oh,
determination, prayers, whatever you believe in, pray to it, pray to Him, and just know that at the end of the day, you'll be successful no matter what, no matter, even if you get rejected this year,
yeah.
you can try again. That's why
And
there's the word
and
try.
and yeah, quick one.
Yeah.
Usually when we fail to receive any scholarship, then we tend to, condemn ourselves, talk ourselves down, because the truth is, it is not always the case that you didn't do well. It could be for a number of reasons that may have nothing to do with your essay. And to tell you the truth, there was no significant difference in my first application essay and the second one,
Yeah.
right? But
Wow.
I took myself back through the process and I did the basic things. Make my writing more simple, try to be specific in some of the things that I said. I attracted it. In the interview, I practice and practice and practice. But for this phase, we are trying to get one leg in the door, which is our essays. hopefully once we get the essays, I'm sure dear young graduate will put us again here to
Yeah.
prepare for the interview. So
Yeah.
I'm saying be meticulous, spend time to, even if you spend 24 hours a day to apply all these four learnings that you've had from the dear young graduate sessions, spend 24 hours. It will be worth the time.
Thank you very much. You have to put in a lot of efforts and time into applying to the scholarship. And I think it's cut across to graduate school application, other scholarships. You have to put in more effort to get
True.
it because no pain, no glory.